Blessed to be with you. What a beautiful day here in the Treasure Valley, getting ready for the Boise Music Festival. Going to be a wonderful time. Pitbull, Tone Loc, all sorts of people joining us. You've got the carnival, you've got the food, you've got the drumsticks, the big drumsticks. You can tell what I really enjoy at the Boise Music Festival. Anyway, back to the business of waking up on the right side. What to do about growth in the Treasure Valley? Well, thanks to our wonderful geniuses at ACHD, you remember them, ACHD, they're the people that are actually in charge of the roads. They're the people that are actually working on the orange cone maze that has become the highways and byways of the Treasure Valley, right? And I love this where, because of expansion or proposed expansion, they have to close roads, right? Is this not the year 2019? Can we get by without closing down roads and such? Well, apparently not. We can have self-driving cars. We can have drones. We can be going to war with Iran. On the other hand, the only way we can fix our highways is to close them down and add to the growing frustration here in the Treasure Valley. But still the best place to live. Okay, a few things to talk about. What to do about growth? Well, Meridian has decided they're going to raise impact fees. Developers in Meridian, starting in October, will pay impact fees based on the size of the residential unit they're building rather than a flat fee per unit. Is that going to stop growth in Meridian? Most likely not. Remember, earlier in the week, we had the story from the Wall Street think tank that homes in Idaho are overvalued by 25-30%. I was talking to a young man yesterday. He said, look, I'm renting right now. I'm going to buy another home in Idaho, but I'm waiting for the next crash. That's tragic, but that seems to be the way things are going. So we have Nampa looking at other issues as well. They've raised impact fees. Now you have the city of Boise. Because of explosive growth, they're looking at the budget and looking at the increased demands for services and funding initiatives to address the growing problems in the city of Boise. So what do they do in the city of Boise when it comes to growth? Well, they raise taxes. That's why people that want more for their money and that haven't been grandfathered in find affordable homes outside the city of Boise, all to do with the problem of growth. Well, in a move that has gone viral, and I apologize for the sound quality of this. This is from our friend Mark Johnson, who on Channel 7 the other night, and Mark is a smart guy. Mark is a shrewd broadcaster. Mark, like D. Sarton, could have gone to the big time. Mark was in the big time. He's raised his family here. Whether you're looking to play golf or to have a master of ceremonies, nobody better than Mark Johnson. So the other night, Mark on the television set commented to, people moving in. So we'll get your thoughts on this in a minute.
One thing that I think you should know. So often when we host large events like the NCAA tournament and the Far West Regionals and others, we find a spike in our growth in following months. So we just wanted to let you know that if and when you return home and get the family together to talk about the possibility of moving here, you should know, well, we're full. All full. In fact, there is a waiting list to get on to move here, and that's not something you would want. Have a great week, and in fact, stay as long as you like and come back anytime. We love having you here visiting.
Right, there we have it. So that was from a Facebook post. And so Mark Johnson saying, look, we're full. And Mark was having a good time. But that's really what we were thinking, right? We're full. The roads are overcrowded. The schools are overcrowded. Boise raising taxes, Meridian raising impact fees, and Nampa raising impact fees. Now, shrewdly, you have the news media, Channel 7 and others, glomming on to what we've been talking about here for years, affordable homes. Now, it's a shocking story that people can't afford rents in Boise, in Meridian. Really? Yet we continue to build all these major apartment complexes, which add to the growth. So you think about this, and many of you have said, Kevin Miller, that's why we need to do something about the taxes, like they did in California when we're talking about people being taxed out of their home. We had a young man, I believe his name was Chris. If not Chris, I apologize for not remembering your name, sent me an email. His taxes on his home went up 64% in a year. Now, a lot of people, and I've dabbled again in a side hustle, thanks to my friend Garrett and Mike and others and Annie, delving into the world of real estate, researching real estate, finding out what real estate people really think. If you're a real estate agent, if you're a mortgage person, if you're in the real estate business or are getting into the real estate business, well, what do you say? Well, look, your house is going up in value, going up big time in value. You can move out and make a ton of money. Where are you going to live? And we can look at, Compass that does the transportation between Ada and Canyon County. We can look at ACHD. We can look at a lot of people, and there appears to be no plan. I don't really care about 2040. I care about 2019. Look at what happened recently where we had the big massive accident on I-84. Thing was shut down. Where's the alternate routes? Where's the outer loop? Where's the big thinking? Sure, you have communities, and again, maybe one day we'll be embraced by the city of Boise. Probably not. That's fine. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I mean, is that the idea? Just raise taxes? People in Boise are overtaxed. Impact fees for developers. Our great friend Tommy Ahlquist, he's not happy about that. We've talked about that on the Inspire Excellence podcast. By the way, this week featuring the history and future of INL. If you've ever wondered how big INL is to the state, you don't want to miss that. Available on the Apple Podcast and Google Play. Learned a lot in that podcast. And here we're catching up, but we're way behind. And people are saying, Kevin Miller, the legislature needs to do something. What did the legislature do when it came to repealing the grocery tax? They passed. Now, we are going to mount a serious campaign coming up. We are not going to stop until that grocery tax is repealed, and you get the credit for it. But taxing people out of homes when we have so many issues going on, and Mark Johnson saying, look, we're full. We're full. We're full up. Boy, if this were a private business, we'd be in big trouble, wouldn't we? Those are the problems. What's the solution? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We go to Blair in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Blair.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Hey, I have a solution for the housing tax thing, and that is simply that you are taxed on the purchase price of your home, not the assessed value. It's a standard thing in accounting and business. I don't know why government gets away with being able to come out and set an arbitrary value on your home that you will never, ever in your life be able to see. Just as an example, the value of my house has nearly doubled in the 6 years that I've lived in it, and so have my taxes. What I would support is a 1% fixed tax on the purchase price of your home. No more assessments made. Whatever you purchase it at, you pay 1% on that ad infinitum. That fixes it for retirees. They know exactly what their tax liability is going to be for as long as they own the home. That fixes it for anybody else who buys a home. I mean, everybody else has to pay escrow taxes. That's the whole purpose of those, right? Well, your escrow taxes no longer fluctuate. So there's my fix.
What do you make of the roads, Blair?
Well, I drive them every day, and they could be better, but I've also seen worse. The biggest concern I have is that we don't have enough major throughways. I mean, Eagle's just a mess, and it's a mess perpetually. It doesn't matter what time of day you get on it, it's a disaster. And that's because there aren't any feeders. There aren't any places to take the load off. I mean, you look at Cloverdale Road right next to it, or on the other side, Locust Grove, and most of those are still one-lane roads, so you can't take anything off of those. And there's a limit of the number of roads that actually go down the hill, and that connect into Eagle or that connect up to State Street. So north-south, you've got a real problem. East-west, you've mainly got the freeway, You got State Street to a degree, but you've mainly got the freeway. We need something. You've got a couple of good streets like, Overland and Fairview and Franklin that are all 2 lanes. So east-west, I don't think we have quite as big a problem. But north-south, we have a huge problem. And I honestly do not know what the solution is going to be for that, because we've got to get more roads that punch all the way through past State Street, going north, and then south. We've got to accommodate for all the growth out in South Boise. All those new subdivisions going in south of the airport. There's a lot that needs to be done, and the people that are doing the planning need to be thinking of this in terms of 20, 30 years out, and not 10 years in the past.
Blair, great thoughts. Thank you.
Have a great day, Kevin. I always listen to your show, and thank you very much for what you do.
All right. You too. Thank you, Blair.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Your thoughts on growth, and is it time to build the wall? Seriously, though, this issue involving the plan. Eagle Road, I-84, impact fees. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Waking up on the right side, blessed to be a part of your day. Growth, how to handle it. And going back to the comments of Mark Johnson of Channel 7, well, you guys can visit, but you can't live here. Meridian raising impact fees, Nampa raising impact fees, ACHD closing roads to build bigger roads, and yet we're behind in the roads. Boise raising taxes. The solution? Well, where is the leadership, everybody? Where is the leadership? Let's go to Jim Barber, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. In response to your previous caller, we have a 1% initiative in Idaho and have had since the early 80s. When California implemented theirs, we did too. And you can't limit the taxing districts, number one, and two, you can't seem to limit spending. So that's a totally unrealistic way to try to manage that, in my estimation.
Well, what would be the way to manage it? Any thoughts?
Well, I like your idea about the wall. There's part of the reason California's in the shape that it's in is you can't give away the store and limit your income on one hand, and you can't be totally out of whack, taxing people beyond their means, which is what they've done. California is a good map for how to not do things, in my estimation, but I don't know how you manage that. That's over my pay grade.
Well, that's why we've got people calling in, Jim. We appreciate it. Thanks always for the emails, brother.
You can't limit people coming in, because then you just make property values go clear out of sight. Nobody can afford anything. And on the other hand, you can't give away the store and not limit the budget. That doesn't work either. So there has to be a balance between spending. I think you got to start there. Impact fees are just going to raise property values and raise property prices, and builders will pass those on, and people coming from out of state with tons of money that they've gained because of increases in market value will pay them. That's why you hear the real estate advertisements for folks selling their property for $20,000 over list price.
Well, it can't last forever. Jim, thank you.
You're right. Have a good day, Kevin.
You too. Appreciate you. Appreciate your emails. Let's hear more of your phone calls. Let's go to John in Middleton with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. John, good morning.
Hey, Kevin, good morning. Sorry I haven't called in recently. It's been so busy, but I try to catch you as much as I can. And, what do you think about renaming the Treasure Valley the Detour Valley? Because that's what's in store for us for a really long time. I've just never seen so many detours. I just can't even believe it. I don't know what to do about the growth problem because and I'm curious too if you know what the impact fees actually are, because the people, for example, are moving in from California. These home prices here are still a joke to them compared to what the share prices were out there. So they're coming in with either all cash or just huge down payments, and these prices here are just amazing compared to what they've been experiencing in California and some of these other liberal states. So I'm concerned that these impact fees just are going to just be nothing to them, and it's not going to do anything to damper the growth, because I think that's where the problem is. And all these guys too are coming in with these huge government pensions, these retirees from California, making six-figure pensions. They can afford anything they want anywhere in the Treasure Valley, and that's what so many of the people moving in, that's kind of their situation. So I feel like that's really where the problem lies. And for example, some homes here, these new communities, they limit the amount of people who can purchase these homes and use them as rentals. So some of these kind of master plan communities, they'll say, okay, only 10% of these homes sold can be rented out. They have to otherwise be your primary residence. And I like that kind of thinking. Maybe we do that same sort of thing, limiting the sort of people who come in. We only allow X amount of people coming in, something like that, because I feel like that's really where the problem is people coming in from out of state with just huge amounts of money, and it's just going to continue to cause prices to go up. I don't know. What do you think?
I think anything that tries to put a handle on growth, but, where is the Marshall Plan? Where is the big plan? You have ACHD. As you said, John, all they do is close roads, give us the detours, and that's tough. You have the state saying, well, we're collecting a lot of money, but we can't get rid of the grocery tax. And then
go ahead.
And then you have the highway shutting down and nobody really caring about it.
I mean, if you're going westbound anytime, like after 4 o'clock, between 4 and 6, I mean, it is nasty, some of these side roads. You're just sitting at these stop signs, even when there's not a detour, for like an hour, just trying to can't help believe the bottlenecks on these roads now. It's really crazy. Yeah, I don't know what kind of – I'm not a city planner or anything like that, or even close to it, but it seems like they probably could have envisioned this, with just the long-term statistics they've been observing with the growth. But, yeah, it seems like they're just asleep at the wheel. But, yeah, grocery tax, illegal immigration, we're loaded with illegals here. They're not doing nothing about it. It's just, all kinds of things that just kind of seem to be not really on their radar.
Well, that's why we're here, to bump it on their radar.
You're the man.
I wish. John, thank you.
Take care.
You too. Great to hear from John. Robert in Caldwell, hang on first. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave. Robert in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Robert, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you doing?
Not bad. And you?
I'm doing great. You was talking about the traffic, the roads. I remember when Eagle Road was just a little 2-lane road, and they got this idea to expand it, to make it larger. And I was talking to an engineer at ACHD when they were doing this big expansion. And they were about halfway through this, what Eagle Road is now, during the construction. And I asked him how it was going. He said, well, we're almost finished, and we're already 50 years behind. I asked him, what's going on? And he tells me, he says, we should have put in over ramps, off ramps. That should have been an elevated freeway, because there is no way it's going to maintain that system. It's going to grow so fast, it will be a boondoggle within 5 years. And you can see what it is.
I would agree. Now we've got a problem. How do we fix it?
I'm not sure it can be fixed. Just like ACHD extended Curtis from Fairview to Chinden and then put in a 1-lane road. And it was a 1-lane road for years because that's what the people wanted. Then they tore the whole thing out and put in 2 lanes. That's what it needed to begin with. It's almost like ACHD says, well, we'll do it now, and then we'll come back later and do it right.
I can't argue with that. We could say that for just about everybody associated with the roads around here.
And that's almost the mentality that Idaho has on everything. Well, we'll just tax them to death, and then we'll spend the money wherever we think we need it, you know.
Well, and not only that, but failing to address this crisis that we have in transportation.
Yeah. And now, look at the taxes. Let's just get another bond. Just pass another bond.
Well, that's what Boise's doing. Let's raise more taxes.
Yeah, raise more taxes. We just moved from Meridian because we couldn't afford our taxes.
Where'd you move to?
We moved to out in Caldwell. Now, Caldwell's not much better.
No, you see, and that's what Dave Petzo and we go back and forth. It's not like there's a big difference between Caldwell and Meridian when it comes to prices anymore. There really isn't.
No.
Yeah.
It's not like 30, 40, 50 years ago.
No, not at all. And people are being taxed and spent out of their homes. That's really what it comes down to. And, you know, we just had this big competitive governor's race, and nobody addressed it.
Yeah. And when we were looking for a house, and houses would come on the market, we were competing with people that would literally fly from California up here to look at properties and put down cash and buy the house outright. Now, how can you compete with that when you got to make, a 30, 45-day escrow?
No. You're right, Robert. Robert, I got to run, but thank you. I'm over the time limit here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thank you. But to Robert's point, how can you compete when you've got to wait for escrow for 30 days? We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. Rolling along, our great friend John Decker. Then it's pro-life Mike Miniger and Chance in Nampa. First, live to the White House, John Decker joining us, Fox News Radio, exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Mr. Decker, how are you today?
Hey, I'm well, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Not bad. The president continues to make news, and, of course, a very personal, close former staff member appeared yesterday before Congress about the Mueller report.
You are talking about Hope Hicks. Hope Hicks, you remember when President Trump took that escalator down in Trump Tower in 2015 to announce he's running for president? Well, at the time, there were just 3 paid workers on the Trump campaign. Hope Hicks was one of them, and that gives you a sense about how she was with the president on the ground floor. At the White House, she served as the communications director, and in the Mueller report, she is mentioned over 100 times. So she was pretty much involved in every meeting, involved with the president, played a very important role, not only on the campaign, but also at the White House, a trusted advisor, a loyal advisor. And the House Judiciary Committee, Kevin, wanted to hear from her because they had lots of questions for her, considering the fact that she was mentioned so often in the Mueller report about various incidences that are spelled out by Robert Mueller in the Mueller report of possible obstruction of justice on the part of the president. So that is what happened yesterday. We're going to get a transcript of her testimony within the next few days from the House Judiciary Committee. But she, during the course of the questioning, said that she couldn't answer certain questions because of the concept of immunity. Senior aide that worked for the president, she says, the White House says, does not have to disclose conversations that they had with the president. That will be challenged in the courts for sure, Kevin. I have no doubt about it. And so we may get an answer about whether or not this concept of immunity applies to Hope Hicks sometime in 2020.
Of course, the president, very close with her, referred to her in several published reports as Hopi, and was sad to see her leave. Of course, she had some issues involving Mr. Portman and others, and the president very guarded over what some consider to be almost a daughter to him.
Well, that's exactly right. So, when you talk about close aides to the president, there are very few who, fall into the category of a Hope Hicks. I think that Sarah Sanders certainly falls into that category. Close aides, loyal aides, and, look, I think that the president has obviously a lot of respect for Hope Hicks, and the feeling is mutual. She has a lot of respect for the president as well, very loyal, very trusted, and that remains to this day. Now, Hope today is in the private sector. She works as a senior executive for Fox out in Los Angeles, far away from Washington. So she came out from Los Angeles for this Q&A, Q&A under oath before the House Judiciary Committee.
John Decker, thank you very much. You have a good day, sir.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Our great friend, John Decker. Let's go to Chance in Nampa with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, talking housing growth and what to do about it. Good morning, Chance.
Hey, Kevin. How's it going?
Not bad. And you?
I'm doing better than I deserve, I guess. This is more along the lines of question because I don't claim to be a smart man about the law, but when you graduate from high school and you're deciding which route to go in education, if you decide to go out of state, you get hit with a massive out-of-state tuition because you haven't been paying into that community's funds to pay for that. So you get hit with a massive out-of-state tuition to pay for that. I don't see a problem with smacking these Californians that are coming in and just ruining our housing market with a massive so-called quotation out-of-state tuition to level the playing field. I mean, if I want to go to, let's say, Montana State, it's almost twice the price of someone who is raised in Montana to go there. And it might be contradicting my conservative values in taxing, but I don't see a problem with slapping someone with 50%, 70% rates who are coming from California and buying up housing over here.
Chance, let's throw that out there. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well.
How are you, stud?
If it isn't the young man who's the world traveler, he occasionally hangs out in the GC, drive over country. Garden City, the home of Mike Miniger this, Mike Miniger that. Who knows the impact Mike Miniger has on all of us? Good morning, sir.
Come on, man. I'm right at the corner of Curtis and Shinden, and that guy was right about the one lane. I don't think you were here, Kevin, yet. I don't think. But they spent all that money, and my brother, Pat, is very involved in the local government. He's never ran for office, but he attends a lot of meetings. And he said one liberal got that done. One guy in the town of Boise fought that extension and got it to be one lane. And the guy was a bicyclist and an travel guy, didn't like cars and all that. And it shows you the power of one guy. It'd be interesting to go back and do some research on that, but that's what he told me. And then the guy moved out of town. He left Boise. It was too conservative for him. Property taxes. I have two 88-year-old parents. They built a house about 7 years ago. They spent about $240,000 building it. They knew it was going to be their last home. Their tax statement just came in, a couple weeks ago. The tax statement says the home's now worth $480,000. And my parents are not wealthy people, and it has got my dad really thinking about making a move. Now, I don't know about most people out there, but if you reach the ripe old age of 88, you shouldn't be displaced. You should not have to sell your property. Now, we as a family won't let that happen, even if we have to fund the property taxes. But I tell you, there is room for a homeowner's tax exemption for age, and it needs to be looked at, because when you look at the problems today with retirement, so many people in our country have not been able to save any money. They probably were not frugal in their life, so I'm not saying it isn't their fault. But costs have risen. Property's gone through the roof, not only in Boise. It's, since the turnaround of the recession, we have seen this growth spurt, obviously, in Boise, but other parts of the country, too. The mass exodus out of California. So I would love to see, I don't think they should be in their homes tax-free, although I would love to see my mom and dad in that situation. But there should be a cap on property tax after a certain age. Or if you are no longer, if you're on Social Security, there should be a tax exemption. Nobody should be moved out of their house because they can't afford to live there, because there's nowhere for them to go. I mean, they're geographically castrated, and it's just not fair. So that's my thoughts.
Geographically castrated?
Can you imagine that?
Wow.
It's kind of like living in Eagle. That's geographically castrated.
Well,
Because
it's the life people choose to live in Eagle. Eagle is wonderful. Eagle. People love Eagle like they love Miniger. I am, I'm just a humble person in Star, Idaho, and we like the humility in Star.
Well, yeah, but your humility is quickly disappearing. I love Emmett. I think Emmett is going to be the next boom town. I drove through Kuna the other day, headed to Murphy, and I couldn't believe the Meridian Road. I haven't been on it for 3 or 4 years. You don't even recognize it when you're pulling into Kuna. It's insane.
I agree.
But everybody wants to be here, Kevin. But I my emphasis on this calling you is about taxation on the elderly, property taxes in general. I just think there should be some. You know what? When I was young and coming up and building my business, it wouldn't have killed me to pay a little more to help. I mean, I look at what I pay for education on there. I just pulled into my parking lot, and my taxes on this 150 by 150 lot in the flyover country of GC, Garden City, for you uninformed folks, is over $8,000 a year for this piece of dirt. And when I look at my tax statement, so much of it goes to education. And I don't really have a problem with them, except that I'm almost 67 years old, and I'm paying for the education system, and my kids went to private school. So I get it. I mean, I get the government, but the government doesn't know how to do anything fiscally responsible. We know that. That term fiscally responsible doesn't even exist inside of our government, both city, state, Fed, in my estimation. So it needs to happen, but I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime. Especially if I kept acting a fool, somebody might take me out. You never know.
Well, these people from California, don't mess with them.
Well, I'm seeing it every day, Kevin, at the shop, every day. I'm not lying. It used to be once a month. People would come in, and then I'd give them my speech. I'd give them my political speech. And, I mean, I'm on my way out work-wise, so if I am able to stand to these customers and watch them be afraid, they come in and they're cowering because they're afraid they're going to be taken advantage of. I can actually smell them out, Kevin. I moved from that state. It's been 43 years ago now, but I came from there, and I don't know. I have this affiliation. I know their mannerisms, and lady, I told you last couple of weeks. I've been calling so often. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, the lady that came in and said she's scared because she feels like it's, the California mentality is going to take over. I sure hope not. But I will say this, Kevin, drive out of this town either way, 15, 20 miles, and you're in a whole different world. So people aren't stuck here. They're not stuck in greater Boise Meridian. You can move out into the country. It's out there, and it's not very far away.
It's getting farther and farther out there. You look at Star, Kuna, Caldwell, Nampa. The congestion continues.
I agree. If you need to do business in Boise, you're coming into the hub, and it is definitely congested. But if you only have to come into the hub once a week,
if you need to do business in Meridian,
well, yeah, no, I agree. I get it. I get it. It's hard. But we came here for a reason, Kevin, and the other people found the same reason. And with that comes the unfortunately, the demise. And I
Well,
feel fortunate to have, I mean, for 3 years I've been here.
Look,
I loved it.
You had a good run, but some of us have to, unlike you and Tea Party Bob, we're the watchers on the wall. We're going to stay till the lights go out.
Well, good for you. We need, you know what, Kevin, your radio program helps. I mean, you may not feel it all the time, but there is, I'll call back and tell you another story that happened to me this week. I took about a 70-year-old man back to his house, and it was way out South Cole, and him and I had a great talk, and he moved here 5 years ago from Las Vegas, and I'll tell you what, the disdain he has for Dave Beater is unreal. And he said this, you know, he bought a beautiful home on a lot. He was told he had a beautiful view of the birds of prey, and Corey Barton came in and bought the piece of property, and now they're developing it. And so he only got like 4 years out of the, you know, and he was told it'll never be sold. And, you know, I mean, that never be sold thing doesn't hold true anywhere in Boise or Meridian or Kuna or, you know, your area, the flyover area of wherever it is you live. I can't remember.
I got to go, GC.
Lazy Acres. See ya. Bye.
See you. Bye. Pro-Life is next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Rolling right along on the right side. Here he is, our version of Mom's Apple Pie, Pro-Life with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. You know, there's one way we could really limit growth in the Treasure Valley. What we could do is legalize weed, prostitution. We could become sanctuary cities. We could just get real wicked and socialist. Then people wouldn't want to come here. But we're not.
I disagree. Then you've got an even greater unsavory element, sir.
Well, I know, but the nice people would stop coming here. Now, the reason they're coming here is because we're Christian conservatives, and I talk to lots of them. That's the way they are. Now, having to do with growth, it has to be market-driven, and there has to be impact fees, and you can't prejudice people, be prejudiced against people just because they have money and charge them some kind of a fee just because they're coming from somewhere else.
You don't like
money.
that out-of-state buying your home fee?
No, that's ridiculous. I mean,
Makes sense to me.
That sounds like
do you know what's going on in California?
Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody from California wants to expose what's going on in California and email or send me personally the ads where people are in magazines just saying, "Come to Eagle, Idaho. You can live like a king." There are major ads in major publications in all the little California magazines saying, "We've lost the Golden State, we're going to take over the Gem State, and these guys are ripe for picking." That's what I hear.
Well, they probably do that, but here's the real
Probably
thing.
That's what's going on. They're taking over.
Yeah, I know. But
what are you going to do about it?
The way we need to do about it is put people in jail that are recreational marijuana, prostitutes, people that are, hey, I'd like to have laws against fornication, adultery, pornography, and all those kind of things. Then we could really clean it up. But anyway, having to do with growth, you have to have a sales tax on everything with having to do with vehicles go to the roads. We don't have that.
What do you mean we don't have that?
We don't. The taxes on your tires go into the general fund. They don't go to build a road or maintain a road.
That's the big ripoff that every state general assembly does.
Yeah, they're ripped off. Yeah, well, and then when you go to schools, we need to go to digital education, have homeschool things, and not get back into brick and mortar. We need to go away from that. That's going to be a dinosaur. So, and then we need to take health education, welfare, recreation, medicine, and get them out in retirement, get those things out of government and be a real non-socialist government, just to be a Christian free will kind of a place. So what do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm trying to digest the lock people up for the fornicating, but I appreciate the call.
Yeah, we need to not have those.
Well,
kind of people
we've heard
around
about the gay police. Now we've got the fornicating police. Good morning, Dave.